Hey, what is up, all of my legacy leaders? Bob Heilig here, your virtual upline, and I couldn't possibly be more excited than to welcome all of you to the first training of our Legacy Leadership Accelerator program. Hey, do me a favor, everyone, and just drop a yes in the comments and let me know if I'm coming through loud and clear. Good to know that. I'm broadcasting live right through Facebook because I am traveling and I am in my hotel room, and Zoom for some reason wasn't cooperating. So thankfully I'm able to go live here directly through Facebook. So do me a favor, just let me know that you're hearing me loud and clear. It looks like the slides are up. Normally I would be on the camera here to start, but Facebook doesn't allow you to do that. You got to kind of start with your screen share. So as you can see here, we've got a presentation set up for you, and I am going to be going through the presentation. Yes, Cindy, I know you can't see my face because Zoom was not working properly. And I was forced to have to stream live directly through Facebook on my desktop, and they don't allow me to be on before I share my screen. So I'm going to be going through the slides here today, and when we are done, I am going to be taking the screen share off. So don't worry, you will see me, and we will have time for some questions and answers here when we are finished. So once again, welcome to the first training of the Legacy Leadership Accelerator program. I truly believe that these next 30 days and these series of trainings that we have set up for you are going to be an absolute turning point for many of you in your business. And I can guarantee you, and I can promise you this: if you are willing to show up and do the work that I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to be challenging you, but if you're willing to push past any feelings of fear and resistance and some areas of discomfort, if you're willing to show up and really commit to this process, I promise you that you are about to go through one of the most transformational experiences that you've ever had in your life, in your business. And so without further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and get right into it here. For those of you that are popping on late or just popping on now, once this presentation is done, I will stop sharing my screen. I will come on here live so you'll be able to see me, and we're going to take some time for some questions and answers. But I've got a lot of information I want to cover and not a ton of time here. I want to make sure we get through this so we leave time for questions and answers. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get right into it. Now, before I get into the training, here's what I want to share with you. We do have a PDF guide that goes along with this content. And if you, to get a copy of it, all you have to do is go to that web address that you see right there, bobheilig.com, Leadership Accelerator. And you can get a full copy of the PDF guide that's going to go along with this training, which will be an important thing for you to have. So if you go to that link, you'll see the link to download it right there. Simple and easy, and you definitely want to make sure you do that because I'm going to be giving you a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of homework in this first part, and all of the questions and everything that you're going to see is in that PDF. So don't feel like you have to write down every last thing on the slides. We've got it all in that guide for you. Just go to bobheilig.com/leadership accelerator. So here's what session number 1 is going to really be about for you today. Is we're going to be talking about what does it take for you to create a breakthrough in your business. And I want to kind of define what I mean by breakthrough, but here's where I want some of you to just be prepared, because I know human nature, and I know that this is how I am a lot of time. When I used to go into trainings and things like this, we have a tendency, right? We have a tendency where we join something that we think can help us, and we immediately want to start going 100 miles an hour, right? Like, okay, Bob, I joined, I'm in. Like, I want the end result tomorrow. I don't want to have to wait. And you see this a lot when, even though I try to give very clear instructions of what I want you to do when you join, I don't want you to get overwhelmed and go through all the training. I just want you to focus on this. But what do? We do it anyway. And you dig into everything and anything, and you'd want to try to get everything you need. And what do? You wind up overwhelming yourself. And what I want to point out to you is it's this mentality of wanting everything like now, and not being willing to go through the right process and do the right work. This is what keeps us stuck. So what's going to be a struggle for some of you, quite frankly, in this first training is I'm going to ask you to slow down. And if, by the way, if you're joining late, I'll pull the link up one more time. That is the link for the guide. If you just go to bobheilig.com/leadership accelerator, you can print up the guide. But here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask some of you to just chill out. Just relax, just chill out, be present, slow down, because here's the thing. You are going to have to slow down and do some very important work in this program if you want to speed up. Most of you have been missing some really critical first steps, and that's what we've designed this accelerator program to do, is to start off by getting you to build the foundation you're going to need to create the business and the life that you want. And as we progress into the second part of this program, we're going to start putting together the strategies and the tactics and the plan. But this training right here, I think, is going to be the most impactful for a lot of you. But let's talk about breakthrough. What does that mean? Well, I define breakthrough as creating, accomplishing, or experiencing something that you previously didn't think possible for yourself. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't always mean an increase in the size of your downline or your income, although we all want to help you to do that. But see, here's where you're going to find that this program is different, is we don't just want to transform your downline and your check. We're going to help transform you as a human being. We are going to teach you what it truly means to step into leadership, to fulfill the God-given purpose for your life, to become a servant leader, to transform not people just on a business level, but to really go out and make a difference in the world. This is what legacy leadership is about. This is where this program is going to be much different from a lot of the other just business training that you've gotten. So when we talk about breakthrough, it could mean something like you becoming a better version of yourself, right? Maybe you get over your fear of live videos or putting yourself out there in terms of leadership. Maybe it's starting to build confidence and belief in yourself. Maybe it's cutting out a toxic relationship in your life, or letting go of the story that you've created that you don't have enough time, or that you don't deserve success, right? There's so many different things that can come in the area of breakthrough. And what this process is going to do is it's going to help you create a breakthrough in your life. And for some of you, I'm just going to prepare you. It may not be in an area that you are expecting. See, we've had thousands of our students go through this exact training today, just over a month ago. And some of the things that they shared with us that came from this, they had no idea that it was going to have such an impact on them at a fundamental level. But what you're going to find is this training, this leadership accelerator, we're going to give you the blueprint to not only create goals for your business that stick, not ones that you flake out on or that have no real meaning, but we're going to give you the plan. We're not just going to, break you down and build you up on the inside. We're going to give you the blueprint and the plan to go out and to make this happen. And I'll tell you what, why I am genuinely excited that each and every one of you are here is because if you commit to the work we're going to do in this program, I promise you this will be your year. This is going to be the year that you finally break through and turn things around. So here's a good question. because this really leads me into the first part of this training. Why is it that 92% of people that set goals for themselves in their business have already given up on them? And a matter of fact, statistics show that by the first 3 weeks of the year, 9 out of 10 people have already given up on their goals. Why is that? Well, it's the same reason why most people stay stuck in their network marketing business. They focus on the wrong things. And here is one of the biggest things you will ever learn in your business and in your life. And you've heard me talk about this a lot. Here's the insight you need to get. Success is not a matter of doing. It is a matter of being. And who you are being in your business is leadership. That's the reason why I've been saying this so much and trying to get people to understand the biggest problem in your business is not social media, right? The fact that Facebook changed the algorithm again is not the reason why your business is not where you want it to be. This is what a lot of people think. They focus on the doing, the strategies, but what they miss is it is always deeper. It is who you are being. Success is a matter of character. And what we are going to do is we're going to help shape you into the person that you need to be. We are going to help you in this training today create a new you as it relates to your business. So let me walk you through the process of how this happens. Now, what I'm sharing with you here is actually from some of you may be familiar with something called neuro-linguistic programming. It's called NLP. It's a very, very popular kind of study of psychology where basically, if you can think of it, it's a user's manual for the human brain, okay? And here's what it teaches us. And I share this with you because it is the perfect demonstration of what I'm telling you today. What it teaches us is that the conscious mind is the goal setter, but the subconscious mind is the goal getter. And the thing that you really need to understand is this concept of identity, because the reason why most people fail with goal setting and why they stay stuck is they have these different goals, right, of money and health and relationships, but they set goals from the top down. They start with their external environment. And what they fail to realize is that your external environment, your physical environment, and what that means is the size of your downline, your bonus check, right? The visible things, your reality will always be a reflection of your internal environment. This is the critical thing to understand, and it starts with identity. See, who you believe yourself to be, truly in your subconscious mind, that's your identity. You know, you hear people so many times, they talk about, well, Bob, you know, they say that the cure to everything, every problem is just working harder. And there's so many trainers in this space and leaders that teach massive action, right? They give you these insane game plans, recruit 20 people in 30 days. They tell you, just go for no, work harder, more meetings. And look, I don't know about you, but I've tried a lot of that same stuff in my past. And I'll ask you this, how's that worked for you? Because I'll tell you this, it really didn't work for me very much. And, you know, if you don't start here, what I'm trying to tell you is working harder will never make a difference for you. See, here's a good example. If you believe, right, like your identity, it's made up of all of the thoughts that you have about yourself, all of the beliefs that you've developed over time about yourself, the stories that you've created about why you're not successful or why you're not where you want to be. All of these things form your identity. And I'll tell you, the reason why some of you are struggling, I want you to think of it like this. You're trying to drive a car, you're trying to win a race, but you've got the parking brake on. Some of you have an identity in your business that is not serving you. And I'll tell you this, if you've got the parking brake on, it doesn't matter how fast you want to drive, you're always going to be limited. See, if you think that if you're poor in your mind, or if you believe that you're not worthy of success, or that you're not deserving of money, or that making money is hard, or that in order for you to be successful, you need to trade off the quality of your life, if all of this stuff is a part of your identity, nothing else is going to make any difference. You will never make the big money or achieve the big goals in your business if you've got an identity that is not serving you. And this is the thing. You know, another good example is this. If let's say that you want to lose weight, and here's a good example of setting goals from the top down. People say, you know, I want to lose weight. I want to get healthier this year. So what do they immediately do? They set goals for their behavior, right? For the actions that they need to take. Say, well, if I want to lose weight, I got to work out 3 times a week. I got to drink more water. I got to cut out sugar. It's all the doing. Well, how many times if you've battled with your weight and your health, how many times have you tried that only to have it feel like an uphill battle the whole time, and you always eventually slip back into that same behavior? Here's the reason why. Because your identity is an overweight person. Your identity is an unhealthy person. Your identity is someone that is not worthy of living a fulfilled life. And that is always going to be the thing that overrides the external desire and wanting it. You know, here's another example. This is what I used to do in my early network marketing career. You know, my first couple of years, people would say, you got to set big goals, Bob. You got to think big, right? So I would go into the year and I would like pick this crazy income goal, right? Like my first year in network marketing, I made no money. My second year, I made like 10 grand the whole year. And then, but I would say, I want to make 50 grand this year. I want to make 100 grand, right? I was making 10 grand. And I would say, I want to make 100 grand. And just saying that would sound so ridiculous, right? Like I kind of intuitively realized that I was missing something because I would go into this goal setting and it just wouldn't get me excited because I knew that it never felt possible. I never realized identity was the thing. But here's what I would do. I would set the big goal and I would immediately then ask myself the question that we all do. What would I need to do in order to make that money this year? And I would put together my massive action plan. I'd go out with hope and high expectations. And then within a month, I'd be right back to where I was before. And here's what I was missing. I was missing never considering the being part of this. What I never asked myself was, I never said, well, Bob, who would I need to be in order to deserve 100 grand? How would I need to start showing up differently? What characteristics would I need to embody? Like if I would have looked at successful people that were already at that level and said, what do they do differently? How do they show up in a different way, and started identifying those characteristics? Because I'll tell you this, success leaves clues. You look at all the people that have what you say you want, I guarantee you there are common characteristics that they demonstrate on a daily basis that you are missing, and this is the reason why you don't have what they have. So we have to start with identity. We've got to ask ourselves, instead of, you want to make 100 grand, instead of saying, what would I need to do? You say, who would I need to be? And eventually, here's what we realize. What you do is only as effective as the being that you are. And the hard lesson that it took me years to learn, and please, I get it. I'm beating this one into the ground because it is the most important thing you're ever going to learn in your business. Here's what I want you to realize. You are never going to out-earn the person that deep down inside you truly believe yourself to be. Now, some of you might be a little discouraged right now because you're realizing, Bob, I got a messed up identity. Now, I want you to understand one thing. You are not broken. You are not messed up. Look, God created you with everything you could possibly want or need to go out and build the life of your dreams. He would not have planted a dream in your head without giving you the ability and the capabilities to go out and make that happen, here's the problem. You are not a broken person. You just have some really broken thinking. And here's where this identity thing becomes so important. What you don't understand is the identity that you have today, you made it up. You made it up. Like, your identity is really nothing more than your perception of what has happened to you in your life. So, for example, for every single one of you at one point in your life, something happened to you. Something didn't go the way that you wanted it to, and you interpreted that meant you weren't good enough. And what started to happen is you started to think that thought of not being good enough or not being worthy over and over and over again. And that thought actually became a belief, because all a belief is a thought with absolute certainty. Here's the key part about what you think something means. See, what you fail to realize is it's all just your interpretation of what happens, right? It's just your lens. And where this becomes, why you feel so trapped, is when we develop these limiting beliefs, which simply we just made up based off of thoughts and our interpretations. It's like wearing a pair of glasses. Imagine you have a pair of sunglasses on, and those lenses are red, and that red lens represents your story and your belief that you're not good enough. Here's how the mind works. It will go out and find exactly what you want it to. So if your story and your belief is I'm not good enough, and that's the red lens, I promise you one thing, the only thing you will see is red. See, even when there's things happening to you that support the opposite thing, that you are good enough, you do have good things happening, but your mind doesn't notice it because you're only looking for the negative. It's called confirmation bias. Here's what you need to understand. People are like, how do I change it? You wake up to the fact that this has always been the thing that's been at play, and you consciously start to change it. Just like you made it up at some point, you can choose a different identity. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. You didn't get as screwed up as you are today overnight. It took you a long time, but you can change it. You will change it. You don't have any more excuses. Guys, can you tell that I get a little, I'm in my hotel room right now in San Diego, and I am like screaming at the laptop, and I'm sure my neighbors are like, what is this dude doing next door? But anyway, I get fired up about this stuff because this stuff changed my life. This is going to change your life. This is not going to just make you more successful in your business. This is going to change every aspect of your life. That's the reason why we're starting out with this, because it's so, and yes, I am beating on my desk as well. All right, let me calm down for a sec, and let me go to the next slide. So my point is this. I'm going to teach you how to change this. This is what we're doing tonight, for those of you that are wondering. So let's go back to this. All right. So here's what I want you to do. So here's what we have to realize. If we can change our identity and we start to create different beliefs and we start to tell different stories, it starts to make us feel differently and drive our behaviors. And that's why this is important. But here's what most people do. Here's what most people do, and here's why they stay stuck. They practice what's called have, do, be. And basically have, do, be works like this. You know, if I had the downline, or if I had the big check, then I could do the thing and get what I wanted, right? So it's like, I remember my mentor always used to be like so confident. He used to be like, Bob, you just got to be confident. You got to believe in what you're offering people. And I remember thinking to myself, I would laugh and I'd be like, yeah, easy for you to say, dude, you got the big check, right? You got the big downline. But what I didn't understand is I was practicing have, do, be. I thought I had to have it in order to do it, to get it. I remember my mentor would say, Bob, if you think you need to see it to believe it, you will never have it. You've got to believe it before you see it. Look, this is a principle of, for those of you that are strong in your faith, this is a principle of faith. This is what God tells us. But you have to understand, here's what you need to do. You need to practice be, do, have, right? You need to say, who would I need to be in order to do what I need to do to get what I have? Because I'm going to tell you your problem. Here's what it is. It's not that you don't have the right strategies. It's that you don't have the right mindset or identity. Here's your problem. You don't do the right strategies long enough to see the results because you're missing out on the characteristics of success. It's not that you're doing the wrong thing. You just don't have the right identity that lets you do it long enough to get to what you want. But here's where we start. So let's talk about how let's have the rubber hit the road here, and let's walk you through this. So I'm going to be teaching you how to create what we call breakthrough goals in your business. And this is important. This is a very, very different process of goal setting, but I'll tell you what, these are goals that will be meaningful, because here's what we're going to do. These goals are not going to be pulled out of thin air. They're not going to feel fake or flimsy. We're going to teach you how to set goals from your new identity. These goals are going to be on the firm foundation of your new identity for success and your goals. And then in part 2, we're going to teach you your daily method of operation. All of this will have the common thread of identity, and this is what's going to make it different. Here's where we have to start. The first step for you making this your breakthrough year is you must start with an abundance mindset. Look, I'll tell you, one of the biggest reasons why people don't achieve their goals, and one of the biggest reasons why people stay stuck, is that they don't believe it's possible for them. They don't believe they can achieve their goals. So what I want you to think about is this. Here's the first important question I want you to ask yourself. What kind of adjustments to your thinking do you need to make to change your sense of what's possible, right? What is that identity? Because here's what you need to do. Most of you have a scarcity mindset. You have a scarcity mindset. And what that means is that you approach problems and challenges assuming defeat. And here's the other key part of this. If you have a scarcity mindset, you think your abilities are set in stone. And guys, I am here to tell you they are not. So you want to know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna shoot you straight right now. Some of you, a lot of you, if you're not where you want to be, you want to know why that is? It's not. See, some of you are masters of blame. But Bob, I'm not where I want to be because my spouse doesn't support me, because my downline sucks, because our company's screwed up, because my upline's not there for my call. No, you're not where you want to be because of you. You're not where you want to be because you're not good enough yet. Now, that might hurt to hear, but I'm sharing that with you because I want you to wake up to the reality of where you are and understand if you're not good enough yet, because your check is a reflection of the value that you put into the marketplace every day. And if you have a 0 on that check, it means you're not showing up enough and contributing enough value. It means you're not taking enough action. You're not pushing past your fears. See, because until you start failing every day and showing up, now you start growing. Look, you've got everything in you that you need. It just hasn't bloomed. It hasn't blossomed yet because you're staying stuck in this scarcity mindset and you're not taking action. So what this process is going to do is it's going to force you to get better. Every one of you is going to start getting better every day as you start going out and playing bigger. But here's the key thing I want you to understand. When we talk about abundance, this is the key statement. When you are creating goals for your business and for your life, you must learn not to operate from circumstances. You must create from possibilities. Look, my biggest piece of advice to you is this. Do not let your current circumstances limits you in your goal setting. See, some of you will struggle setting the big goals that excite you because you're basing it on your current identity. The whole point is we're going to wipe the slate clean for you. We're going to create an identity for yourself that will allow you to accomplish anything you want. So I want you guys to start dreaming bigger. I want you to know that now you've got a different plan. Start thinking about what really will excite you. See, I'll give you an example of setting goals from circumstances. I did this for so many years. I would say to myself, you know, I'd love to double my income this year, but it was always but. I'd have to work twice as hard. So I don't know about that, right? That's setting goals from circumstances. See, here's what setting goals from possibilities sounds like. It's a much different mindset. Instead of saying, well, I'd love to double my income, but Bob, I'd have to work twice as hard. I don't know if I want to do that. This is what most people do. That's scarcity thinking. How about if you said this? How about if you said, how can I, or how could I double my income and not have to work any harder? How about working smarter? You realize there are things you can do in your business, like marketing yourself better, like developing leaders, implementing systems. Do you understand it is possible to double your income and not have to work harder? I actually have seen people double their income and work less if they work more intentional. So we need to start really thinking more from possibilities. This is a key part. But before we do that, before we get into creating your goals for this year, there's an important step that most people forget. And now we're going to get into the steps of setting goals. Here's number one. In order for you to create the year you want this year, you must complete your past year. See, you must, and this is where remember I told you, I'm going to ask you to slow down, to speed up. You have to take some time to think backwards before you can effectively move into the future. See, because here's the thing. Thinking backwards helps you learn from your past, and it allows you to positively impact your future. So, but what you need to do is the reason why, the reason why I was stuck in the same pattern of setting goals and winding up at the same place I was the year before. I mean, that was like 5 or 6 years of my life in this profession. It's because I never took the time at the end of that year when I was setting my goals for the next year. I never took the time to look back and pull the wisdom and the lessons from my failures. Just having the hope is not enough. Look, what I want you to realize, this is one of my biggest aha moments about goal setting. Some of your greatest disappointments of last year will actually lead you to your greatest opportunities of this year. See, I've got some questions I want you to ask yourself. Now, once again, these questions are in the PDF guide. I'll make sure I give you the link again here. If you go to bobheilig.com/leadership accelerator, if somebody could put that link in the comments, that would be great for those of you that joined late. All of these questions are in the guide. But here's the first question I want you to ask yourself when you're completing your past. How would you grade your performance? And I want you to be honest with yourself. This is not to depress you. This is for you to start with the reality of where you are. It's time to get your head out of the sand and be real with yourself about where your business is. So grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and be honest. Here's the second question. What did you accomplish that you were most proud of, right? So here's something that we very rarely do. We very rarely take the time to look back and count our blessings and our accomplishments. You know, here's a really valuable thing for you to do. Get your calendar out and go through every month of last year, even the weeks. And I want you to think about what happened. Look, I want you to take time. See, here's the thing. These exercises I'm going to be giving you are not easy to do. And some of you are going to fall into the trap of just rushing through it and not really doing it. Jane says it's depressing. Jane, it's only depressing if you have a scarcity mindset and you think that your abilities are set in stone. If you adopt an abundance mindset and you understand that you are looking back only to build a bigger and a brighter future, then it's not going to be depressing. But here's what you have to do. You've got to identify your opportunities for improvement. So, but force yourself. What went well? It's crazy how hard it is for us to count our blessings and be appreciative of our wins. As small as it might be, make an inventory. Some of you are not giving yourself credit for the person that you became last year, for things that you did in your personal growth, for things that you did in your personal life and with relationships. Look, taking the time to practice gratitude has a very powerful benefit in terms, if you want, some of you are like, Bob, I'm stuck in scarcity. How do I get to abundance? Gratitude. Gratitude gives you an abundance mindset. Here's the third question. What disappointments or regrets did you experience last year? Now, let me tell you something about regrets before you go off the deep end here. And I want you to listen really closely to this statement right now. You feel regret the strongest where the opportunity for improvement is the greatest. I'm going to say that again. It's so important. You feel regret in the areas of your life the strongest where the opportunities for improvement are the greatest. Why do you think you feel regret so strong? Because you know that you didn't do something that could have really made a difference. You know you missed out on an opportunity that could have changed your life. So when you look back at your disappointments and your regret and you view them through the lens of making the necessary changes, that cues you in. You already know what you need to do more of. So identify what those things are. Now look, here's the deal. For some of you, this will be a little painful. Acknowledge what happened, experience the emotions, but I don't want you to get stuck in the negative story that you created around those emotions. The victim mentality is done. You got to get rid of the victim mentality. You got to let go of the scarcity mindset, and you got to start viewing these through the lens of your bigger purpose and moving forward and making the changes. Because here's the thing. If we don't get stuck in the story and the emotions, and we can look at these experiences as opportunities, then what it does is it allows us to learn the necessary lessons. See, the reason why I stayed stuck for years is because I never slowed down to look back at my mistakes and pull the lesson from it so I didn't keep making the same mistakes. That's some of you just keep making the same mistakes because you've never done this. And here's the last question. What major lessons did you learn? What were the big things that you learned about yourself, about life, about your business? I want you to sit down and I want you to take time. I mean, I'm talking about like at least an hour just for this part of it to go through and answer these questions. And as hard as it is, I want you to push past it. This right here will be monumentally big for you. All right, so once we've done that, and I'm going to summarize all your homework you're going to get at the end of this. Once we've done that, now it's time to move forward and start building out the plan, creating your breakthrough goals. Now, as I asked you with the last series of questions, I want you to set aside at least an hour of time for these as well. So now the reason why we're giving you so much time in between trainings is that I want to make sure you do this the right way. Because if you rush through this, the rest of the training is not going to be nearly as impactful. So I want you to sit down when we think about goal setting moving forward. I want you to get out a blank notebook, or if you're, get out a Google Sheet, a brand new Google Word document. And I want you to sit down and I want you to be in a quiet place, no distractions. If you got to leave the house to get away from the kids, do it. And I want you to sit down and I want you to imagine, I want you to envision that you are sitting down and it is already December 31st of this year. It is December 31st. It is about to become 2020. And I want you to sit down and I want you to reflect back And I want you to reflect back on the year that you had, and I want you to answer the following questions. Now, we're going to be having you focus on 3 main areas of goals. Your personal self, right? Your self-development goals, your relational goals involving family and, other things that you do in the community. And then the third category of goals is your business. These are the 3 buckets that we're going to be having you think about for your goal setting, okay, when you go through this exercise and these questions. Here's the first question. I want you to imagine you're sitting there. It's December 31st, the end of the year. You're all quiet, and you just finished your breakthrough year. I mean, this was the year that you will point back to 10 years from now, 20 years from now. You point back and you will be telling people, 2019 was the year that everything changed in my business. This was the year that I broke through what was holding me back, those struggles, those obstacles. I finally did it. This was your year. I want you to answer this question. What did you do? What did you create? What things did you experience or accomplish in order to make this your breakthrough year? Okay? How much money? I'm going to give you some thought starters here. Okay? How much money would you need to make in order to truly feel freedom in your life? Right? Look, I'm not talking about making millions and millions of dollars. For some of you, what would you need to feel freedom? What would you need to be truly excited about your business? Here's another thing to think about. What impact do you want to make in your business? What difference? How do you want to help or empower other people? Are there things in your personal life that you want to be a part of? Maybe you're involved in your church or with some sort of nonprofit, or you want to get started being more involved with helping others and serving. What types of things in that area would help make this your breakthrough year? What other things could inspire you? Are there some trips that you want to take, right? Are there, some things that you want to do, leisure, or, maybe it's getting a new car that you've always wanted, or living or moving into a new home. Maybe it's sending your kids to private school or something like that. Or, maybe it's being able to hire help in your house so that you can have more time to be able to enjoy your life. Like, really, I want to remind you, create from possibilities. What would excite you or inspire you? Think about those 3 buckets: yourself, your personal life, your business, your relationships. Those are the things that we want you to do. And here's what I want you to shoot for. I want you to make a list. I want you to first of all, I want you to brain dump, okay? So I want you to start off by just emptying your mind on paper in the goals in each of those 3 areas. So like what your personal growth and development, just let it all go, write it all down. Spend some time on your business. Is there a big rank you want to hit, right? Spend some time on your relations and your family, your personal life. Like, just let it all go. Just those 3 areas. Write down anything that comes to mind, right? Don't judge yourself at this part. And then once you've done that, the second step is this. Go through and highlight the ones that stand out to you as the most important and the most exciting ones, right? The ones that really jump out to you. Highlight each of those in the 3 areas. And here's the final goal, is I want you to come up with a list of 7 to 10 goals that are spread out over each of those 3 areas. Come up with what you believe to be your top 7 to 10 goals. And look, I'm telling you, if those 7 to 10 things, if looking at those things, if they don't absolutely light you up and make you so genuinely excited. Now, don't fall into the trap where you're like, but I don't know how that's possible. That's creating from circumstances. That's the old you. That's your old identity. You need to let go. There is a rebirth that is going to be happening for you through this process. But I do want to give you some direction. I want to make sure for you that one of those goals is a rank advancement goal. I want you to have at least one of those goals be a big, what is your big rank advancement goal for you this year in your business? And that's important because when we get into the nitty-gritty of helping you build out your plan and start tracking your business like a leader, that's going to be important. So have at least one of those goals be related to a big rank advancement. And here's where we take this even a step further. See, we teach people inside of this community, you know, there's a lot of you, if you've gone through goal setting courses, you're familiar with this idea of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time sensitive. You know, all of that stuff is good, but see, I believe that that's missing something. It's missing heart. You know, I learned actually from, if any of you are familiar with Cultivate What Matters, Lara Casey. I love what they teach there. They teach heart goals. And basically what they do is they take it an additional step where you take these 7 to 10 goals. And then what I want you to do is I want you to connect those goals to your bigger purpose so there's more meaning. And basically, here's how you do this. You've got those goals and you ask yourself this question for each one of those goals. Why does this matter? Why is this important? See, this is where we tie it to purpose. When you can bring your heart into your goals, you become so much more likely to follow through. Let me give you an example. Let's say that one of your goals is around your personal health, and you've got a goal to run a half marathon this year, right? Like, I want to run a half marathon because I know that if I can do that, that will help me in my personal life in terms of my health. Well, instead of just saying I want to run a half marathon by November, right? Here's what you do. I want to run a half marathon by November because I want to get healthier so that I can be there for my children. I want to get healthier so that I can see my kids graduate and get married, so I can be there and be healthy for my grandchildren. See, when we add the heart component, when we say, why does this make it matter, right? That's the thing that really locks them in for us. So we want to make sure we take it that extra step. So that's question one, okay? Really spend some time on that. Here's question two. Having accomplished all of this, what did I do differently? Look, this is a very powerful question to ask yourself because this is where it starts leading you back to the regrets and the disappointments. And I don't want you to feel sad. I want you to feel excited because I want you to identify these regrets and disappointments as opportunities for improvement. So say, what did I do? So let me give you an example. Maybe last year you were stuck from fear. Fear kept you stuck. You knew that you should have been doing more. You didn't. So that's an area of improvement is, you know, fear kept you from putting yourself out there and prospecting or doing live videos. Well, here's the thing. What you did differently is you didn't allow fear to hold you back. What you did differently is you took courageous action. You showed up every single day and you did what you needed to do. You consistently prospected, right? Get really clear on the things that you would need to do that you haven't done in the past. So now you're clear and you have clarity on what the plan is. And then also think about this. What are the habits that you have? Some of you have habits that do not serve you. What are the habits that you would need to develop in order for you to show up? Maybe it's in the morning. Maybe it's waking up a little bit earlier. Maybe it's starting to exercise. Maybe it's starting to drink more water. Maybe it's starting to read or journal more, right? Maybe it's starting to surround yourself with people that will lift you up and not tear you down. Start really thinking about all these different areas of what you need to do differently. Here's the third one. Now, I'll tell you, these last two questions are going to be the hardest because what I'm going to be asking you to do is put words to some of your deepest emotions and feelings. So what did you have to let go of? Look, let me share with you my story. In 2015, when all of this this process started for me, and I had 2 different companies close down on me in 7 months, and I was at the bottom. I mean, I thought life was over. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was faced with this thing called live video that I knew deep down inside that if I could start doing more of that, it would help me. But what I was stuck with is I was stuck with my need for certainty, right? I had this desire to, I couldn't do that because I didn't know how it was going to go. What were people going to think of me, right? What if I sounded stupid? Other people's opinions. In order for me to create my breakthrough year, I had to let go of my need for certainty. I had to start embracing uncertainty. I had to let go of fear controlling me, right? I had to let go of other people's opinions, of caring about that, right? What would you have to let go of in order to make this your breakthrough year, right? I needed to start trading my expectations for appreciation, right? I needed to let go of all this stuff. What would you need to let go of? Think about that. Really spend some time. And then here's the 4th question. Who were you being that created this? And once again, this is not an easy question to answer, but this to me is the most exciting part, because here's where you get to create your new identity. This is where you get to create it. So here's how this process is going to work. When we talk about the fact that success is a matter of character, right? Who you are being is character. See, here's what a lot of you don't realize. Character development and leadership development are the same thing. Who you are as a person, your character, is the same as who you are as a leader. Those 2 things should not be different. So what I want you to do is this. I want you to start brainstorming some words. I want you to start thinking about what are the characteristics that I know if I could embody these things, I know that they would make this my year. Let me give you some example. What if you were more committed? You know how you measure commitment? Through action. Don't tell me you're serious. Show me by doing it every day. That's commitment. Maybe you're unstoppable. Maybe you want to be more courageous. Look, if fear has held you back in the past, then you need to be courageous. Look, courageous, I think, is a core, fundamental thing that we all need to embody. Being courageous means that you feel the fear and you do it anyway. So maybe you need to be more courageous. Maybe you need to be more disciplined. Maybe you need to be more consistent. Maybe you need to be more grateful, passionate, joyful, resilient, confident. Maybe you need to be more determined, more loving, inspired, compassionate, a better leader. Look, there are so many different things. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to brainstorm words. Now, you could argue, you could say, but Bob, all that stuff is important, right? Like we should want to be all that, but this is how this process is going to work. As you start writing words and you start brainstorming, here's what just Jane, what just happened to Jane. Jane just said, I love courageous. Here's what's going to happen. Certain words that you write down are going to grab you emotionally. They're going to connect with you emotionally. You're going to be like, oh, that's one for me. So what I want you to pay attention to is what those words are. And what's going to happen is you've got a whole bunch of words. I want you to narrow it down to 4. I want you to find the top 4. Now, here's the way you do this. You say, what's more important to me? Being loving or being committed? And then you say, loving is more important to me. What's more important, being loving or being resilient, right? You just start narrowing down them in that process. And I want you to get it to 4. Now, let me just caution you. I don't want you to overthink this or stress out about it. Like I'm not going to make you take these 4 words and tattoo them to your forearm. So it's like they're not permanent. I just want you to get something. Some of you are going to start, right? Some of you are going to start hearing other people's stories. And you're going to say, oh, I didn't think of that word. I want that to be one of mine. And you'll replace it, right? So, but think of it, faithful, is that one for you? There's all these different ideas. But I want you to go through this process and I want you to come up with 4. And these 4 things are going to be very important, because in the second part of this training, we are going to take these 4 words of yours, and we call these your power virtues. And we are going to teach you how to take these 4 things, which are going to become a part of your new identity for success. And we are going to teach you how to start making these a part of who you are. And we're going to start building out, right? Like, don't tell me you're just going to be courageous. You need to tell us, what does that look like to you every single day? So that's what we're going to do in part 2 of this training. But it's critical that you do this. And here's what I want to share with you in closing. I just want you to understand that your new life is going to cost you your old one. The person that you are today is not going to get you to where you want to be, but that's okay, because every single one of you has the God-given ability to change. You've got the capabilities to start charting a new course for your life, and that's exactly what this is. What we eventually realize is that just like we made up the identity that we have today based off of our negative thinking and limiting beliefs, right? Because your thoughts become beliefs. If you can consciously, see, most of you go through life on autopilot, not even understanding this is playing. Now you don't have that excuse anymore. See, we just woke you up. And what you're going to do now is, through repetition, the same way you got to where you are, we are going to help you through repetition to create your new identity and ingrain that in the fiber of your being, so that you now have what you need to go out and do what you need to do. So let me ask you this. Did you guys get any value? This, look, I know that this is some heavy stuff. And I'm just going to warn you, this is not going to be an easy process for some of you, but there's a reason. Look, I'm telling you, if you go into this and you start feeling resistance and fear, that is important to understand, because here's what I've learned. You cannot have a breakthrough until you break down. Some of your biggest breakthroughs in my life, my biggest breakthroughs of my life came right after some of my biggest breakdowns. So I want all of you to have some faith in me as your guide and your upline, that there is a master plan here, that there is a method to the madness of what I'm going to ask you to do. And as hard as this might be for some of you, I want you to go through it. I want you to set aside several hours of quiet, interrupted time. This is going to, I'm telling you, this is going to be some of the most important stuff you'll ever do in your business and in your life. And then once we have you go through this, in the second part of this training, we're going to start putting all the pieces back together. You're going to find, you're going to go into that second training, you're going to literally start feeling differently. It is going to be amazing what this does for you. So here's your homework. Your homework is, and once again, this homework and everything else is in the guide that we have, okay? Somebody puts that in the comments again, that would be amazing. bobheilig.com/leadership accelerator. That would be great if you guys could do that. And we will make sure that, if you're watching the replay, you'll be able to get that as well. But here's the homework. All the homework is in the guide. I want you to complete your past. I want you to look back, answer those 4 questions, okay, that are going to help you complete your past. Number 2, create those goals. Answer those 4 questions. Look, I know it's going to be hard, but just power through it. Trust me, there's a plan here. Number 3 is put together those 7 to 10 goals from your 3 categories. Make sure you take the extra step of adding some heart to it. Why is that important? Connect it to your purpose. And then number 4 is come up with your 4, what we're going to call power virtues. What are your words? What are the things that you're like, man, Bob, if I could be these 4 things, if this was my new identity, I truly know I could do what I set out to do. And that's going to be the difference. It's not leader accelerator, Allison. It's leadership accelerator. So leadership accelerator. Somebody could put the right one in there. That'd be great. So, okay, cool. All right. So listen, here's what's coming next. So the way that we're going to be doing this is every single week for the next, over 30 days, we're going to have an activity happening. Next week, a week from today. Now note, there is a slight time change. It's going to be at 8 p.m. instead of 9 p.m., but we are going to do an accountability check-in. So how these are going to work, what we're going to do is this is accountability. So you got to have this stuff done by next Wednesday. This is like the check-in, make the time. But we're also going to be doing some coaching. So what I'm going to be doing on these accountability check-ins is I'm going to be reaching out and we're going to be trying to find 1 to 2 of you, each one of these, that have gone through this process. And I'm going to be doing some live coaching. We're going to try to find someone that did it and it went well, have them share their experience. We're going to find somebody that's struggling with it. And I'm going to coach them through it. So at these accountability check-ins, you're going to hear me live walking people through the process, and you're going to find it really helpful. But then we're also going to do Q&As. So each week there'll be a Q&A that will go along with the training, because I just want to make sure that you all can nail each of these parts. So that'll be next Wednesday, and then part 2 of the actual training is going to be happening the following week, right, on the 13th. And what we're going to be doing on the 13th is we're going to be helping you take the work you've done here, and we're going to start putting together the pieces. We're going to be talking about your daily method of operation. I'm going to teach you how to take these power virtues that you've created, this new identity, and we're going to start putting together an actual game plan for what you're going to do every day in your business. And then, we'll do an ensuing accountability check-in. And then the third part of this training, we're going to focus on systems, okay? Because I'll tell you this, when we get into the external, systems are the biggest missing piece in your business, I promise you. So in the third training, we're going to give you a crash course on systems, okay? Crash course on systems. Look, I realize the timing is not perfect for all of you, but the good news is we record every one of these. So even if you can't make it on live, it's not a big deal. You'll still have the ability to ask questions. That's what the Facebook group is for. So I'll be in there for questions and support. So it's really not a big deal if you can make it on live or not. So I'm going to